we have some really cool tools in this building. You got all these things, hyperbaric and all this stuff, and we're really excited about it. And clients don't care. All they care is, can you help me? The biggest mistake is you go to a lecture, you go to a workshop, you go to a clinic, and you're like, oh my God, and you're overwhelmed, and you don't do any of them. So pick one thing and do it really, really well. So if you guys don't know, my name is Justin Lesh. I'll go a little into my background here in a second, but just to kind of give you an overview of what we're gonna go through today. It's gonna be a little bit of a mix because, you don't need to show your hands, but how many of you guys have ever dated? Okay. Now, everyone has different goals when they're dating, but at the end of the day, there is a goal, right? You're trying to close a deal, find somebody, get married, whatever it is. Is dating just the first date? Is that how you win? Or is it the messages you send, the way you talk to someone, the way you make them feel, the way that you get the next appointment or the next date? It's the whole process that ties into a really solid outcome of that. And so when we talk about sales, it's going to come down to all that stuff. It's going to come down to the marketing. It's going to come down to how they're nurtured, how they're brought in, how you talk to them, how you make them feel. It's the same thing. And just like in dating, you can fake a lot of that stuff. It will eventually come out. Or you can do some things that aren't honest or integral, and that will probably bite you in the butt, or you won't like the way you feel later on. And so I really want to make sure as we're doing this that we're doing it for the right reason. As we go through, that's why we're going to go through some stuff that maybe some of you in your role, it may not be a direct thing that you do, but I want you to understand the whole process. Today is going to be a little bit of lecture in the front, but I don't want to just lecture too much, so I really want to make this interactive. My biggest thing for all of you is, depending on your role and what you're doing day to day with patients or clients, try to take one or two things away from me. Don't try to take everything. The biggest mistake is you go to a lecture, you go to a workshop, you go to a clinic, and you're like, oh my God, and you're overwhelmed, and you have a list of 1,000 things, and then you don't do any of them. So pick one thing and do it really, really well. We're going to start with kind of a fun exercise, and some of you are going to hate me for this, I'm sorry, but you're going to see where this ties in. But I want you guys to think about right now, what is something when it comes to sales or marketing that you are struggling with right now? Like whether it's talking with patients, whether it's upsells, think about in your job right now, if you were better at it, what would it be? Would it be getting add-ins to the IVs? Would it be selling larger weight loss packages? Think about right now for you and your job, what is something that is a struggle or a pain point for you? All right, here's where it's gonna get really awkward. I'm gonna take a 10-second clip, and all I want you to say is, selling high ticket packages, whatever it is, just say it straight to the camera. I'll show you how we're gonna use this later. Natalie, you get picked on because I know you. So you're first. All right, so my biggest struggle with sales and marketing is?
I say that whole thing, wait a second.
No, you just say what, so just answer. So my biggest struggle with sales and marketing is?
My biggest struggle with?
You don't have to say, you can just say whatever it is.
Oh, okay. Give me a second.
That's right. That's why I made you go first, because I'm like, I can pick on you. So just, don't even overthink it. My biggest struggle with sales and marketing is?
Selling high tickets, there we go.
Yeah.
Selling high tickets.
Okay, so I paused that clip. Now I'm gonna go to the next clip.
Talking to the patient.
Perfect. Okay, don't overthink this, guys.
Following up with people.
Good one.
Selling higher tickets.
Wait till I point to you.
Following up with people.
Marketing.
Oh, sorry, I didn't push the button.
Marketing.
From downtown?
Selling the selling the wellness packages. Sorry.
Cutting them off when they're talking.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. We'll talk about that today. Here's my life story. When I was 7, I was heavy, and then I just never stopped.
Making a sale.
I'm new, so.
You're good.
Feeling pushy.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah.
Upselling.
Getting my staff to sell higher packages.
Ooh, good one.
Closing the sale.
All right, so we'll come back to that, and I'll show you how that works in our presentation later. But did that take that long?
No.
It's kind of awkward, but it wasn't a big deal, right? So I'll show you how you can use that when you're marketing. But let's go into the presentation here. All right, so I think this is gonna work. There you go. Agenda, this is rough, okay? So we're gonna start on packaging fulfillment, kind of explaining what that is. We're gonna also go through marketing. A big thing I'm gonna talk about is conviction and just how that affects your process. We'll talk about nurturing, setting the tone for sales. We'll take lunch, and then we're gonna really go deep into the actual sales process. I have some handouts and stuff for you guys, and we'll go into that. Tomorrow is a little bit rough as far as we're gonna go into a little more advanced stuff. It's gonna be more personality selling. So I didn't wanna mix them too much because I want you guys to just get the basic structure of the sales and some of the nuances today. Tomorrow we'll go into obstacle overcomes, digging, assessing personalities, NLP, all that nerdy stuff if you want. But that's our rough agenda. And then there's some optional stuff for the owners here. We have some sales team hiring and management and sales team stat tracking we can go in as well. But I want to give you guys some background real quick. So for me, I have a degree in exercise science. I was in fitness pretty much since my senior year of high school, had a big injury, got really into it, and came out of college and started training pro athletes. I just kind of was lucky. I fell into it, started working with a lot of Brazilian jiu-jitsu guys, started working in the UFC. Right there, I was working with Fabricio Verdun, was a UFC champion for a lot of years, Chris Cyborg, a bunch of other pro athletes, and I loved it. It was cool. I traveled the country, got to feel really special, got to learn all my fancy terms, VO2 max, bench press maxes, all these cool scientific terms, and I made money doing it, and it was fun. But my mom had kind of a different journey. So growing up, my mom was always overweight. And I watched my mom from a young age just battle with her weight. I can remember being in preschool and getting picked up, and this little girl ran up to my mom and put her hand on my mom's stomach and was like, "When are you gonna have your baby?" My mom wasn't pregnant. And I remember getting in the car, and I'm like 5 years old, and my mom's just bawling. And I couldn't understand, like, why would a question make my mom sad like that? And this is the 80s, not to date myself, but like, I can literally remember sitting in the clinic, or a fen-phen clinic, playing with Legos as she's talking to the doctor because she was gonna do whatever it took to lose weight. It went fen-phen, it was the cabbage soup diet, it was, you know, Suzanne Summers tapes, and I'm an only child and she was a single mom, so I did all this stuff with her. Like, I just was along for the ride. But I watched it get worse and worse, and just like a lot of women, she would have some results, she'd lose 20, 30 pounds, and then she'd go back to normal and gain back even more. It got to the point where she was so determined to be skinny, and keep in mind, in her mind, skinny equaled happy. She was so determined to be skinny that she went and got a gastric bypass. Now, this is the early 90s. At this point, this is one of the most dangerous procedures you can do. It still is even now, but it was intense. I mean, it's a full cut up the middle. There's no laparoscopic back then, and it was intense. I remember visiting her in the hospital, and like tubes and bags, but like she had to carry like a catheter bag for a long time. It was just, I'm like, to go to that extent to lose weight, but she was willing to do anything to be happy. She lost about 100 pounds and was doing great for a while, but I mean, if you know anyone that had a gastric bypass back in those days, can't eat sugar, you're like so limited on certain foods, it had so many side effects. She lost a lot of hair from nutrient loss and things like that, but she was losing weight. And then she slowly and surely went back to the way she was. And over about a 2-year period, she gained about 100 pounds back. Now at this point, I'm a teenager, and I remember her coming home from the doctor, and what she told me, or what she told me the doctor said, and it's not what he actually said, but in her mind, her doctor said, "You are such a piece of shit, you ate your way out of a medical weight loss procedure." Now that's obviously not what the doctor said, but that's what she heard and that's what she felt. And that's when the depression got really bad. And if you've ever known someone that went really bad down the depression path, it's not fun to watch. And so it became this vicious cycle again of I don't feel good, so I eat and I sleep, and then I feel worse because I've done nothing but eat and sleep. And she kept going down this path. When I was 22 years old, I lost my mom to her battle with depression and obesity. And it was this big career shift because I had all these skills and talents. I was helping UFC fighters lose 30 pounds in a week to make weight. But what does it really matter if someone wins a fight, or if they can, you know, be at a better level when there's people dying? And so I shifted my entire career to where I was going to help people like my mom. And so I took that story, I took that motivation, and I came into the fitness world and I was like, I'm going to help people. The challenge was, and for some of you, you've been there, I spoke a different language. I said the same things, but none of my clients cared about VO2 maxes. They didn't care about body fat percentages of composition. They wanted to be toned. They wanted to feel good. They wanted all the stuff my mom wanted, and they didn't care about my knowledge. All they cared was, could I help them? And I'm saying this to you guys because we have some really cool tools in this building. You got all these things, hyperbaric and all this stuff, and we're really excited about it, and we're nerds. We love this stuff. Your clients don't care. All they care is, can you help me? And if you can connect to them and understand their pain and what they want, they'll do whatever you tell them. And so, just on the background of the gyms, I ended up having 4 different locations across 2 different states. I've probably met with thousands of people. And being able to tell my mom's story and compare that and connect with them was what made the difference for so many of these people. And remember, when people are coming in here, you're not just selling the modalities, you're selling that hope, you're selling that vision. So when I opened my businesses, a couple things I struggled with, and this is more for some of the owners, but $50K in equipment build out, and now had no people inside. Struggling to pay myself, getting staff to give a damn about the business or the clients. I know all of you love your clients, but some of the owners can appreciate this. Having the, oh my God, how am I gonna make payroll this month? I need a full-time employee to get busy, but not busy enough to hire a full-time employee. Having staff steal clients, spending entire Saturdays at farmers markets to get 0 clients. I'm sure none of you ever got sunburned at one of those before. Spending thousands to be on TV, shopping carts, etc. to get 0 clients. Never having a day off. My kids knew more about my business than most professionals in the industry. Always on my phone, even on my off days. Trying to teach people how it was different. Constantly trying new things to see what would work. And I think the biggest one for all of you guys, and maybe you feel this, is just knowing that if I could just get people to come in and try it, if I could just get them in there, they would stick, but like they just didn't know. And for me, it was gyms, but it was like, well, I can go to Planet Fitness for $9 a month. Why would I spend $200 to $700 a month at your place? Like, but we knew we were better. We just had to get them in.